to the Overshare Pamphlet. My name is Rob, and I'm the host of this one-man show coming to you every Monday, 6 a.m. Now, 6 a.m. UK time, by the way, because, yes. So, today I think we're gonna have to, continue last week's topic, unfortunately, because more stuff keeps on happening in Hollywood. And I'm referring specifically to Emilia Pérez. If you haven't listened to my previous episode, please do. I discussed a bit about I talked about both Emilia Pérez and The Brutalist being dragged for the usage of, AI tools to enhance the performances of the actors in those movies. And so I went over that criticism specifically, but I didn't really specifically go into any other criticism specifically pointed at Emilia Pérez for many other reasons, because, I was waiting to watch the movie for myself, and I can say I did, but also at the same time, I really wanted to inform myself a bit more about where the criticisms were coming from as well. And I think, given also the very recent controversies surrounding specifically the main actress for the movie, and her very, very disgusting tweets about several different things that have now been deleted because, there's no other thing, I guess, for her to do. And also, basically, this undermining her chances and the movie's chances to win any major other awards in this season. Well, now I think it's a good time to talk about it. So, I think I want to give a mini review of the movie, but mostly I want to focus more on the criticisms and why this movie has been torn to shreds by the people more than the critics themselves. The critics, I would say, most part still stand behind this movie, but I think also, it really depends on how the other award shows are going to go in that sense. But initial reactions from the critics, I would say they were mostly positive, while people, and by people I mean viewers, and specifically those who are are supposed to be represented, I guess, in this movie, they've not really been, I guess, happy about, of course, the way this movie has gone, and from very different perspectives, of course. There's multiple angles to this, but I think we will simply have to talk about it. So first off, before we get into that, the whole shebang, let's do the songs of the week. These are going to be the first songs of the month because it's Feb. Finally, we escaped January. So thank God that long ass month has come and gone. It took so long to get rid of January, but we're finally here. We're here. So let's start off with this very interesting song called Python by GOT7. I am not even sure why. I did not. I was contemplating whether to add this song to the list or not, because I mean, as you may know, as you may have noticed, I'm not really a boy group stan in that sense when it comes to K-pop, but something about the song is really, really good. I think it definitely falls into the good trend in K-pop currently, which is a bit more of that garage music, roughly. Even though it's not really that, it's more I don't know. It's very interesting. It's very trappy, I would say. It's more of a trappy sound here, specifically more than garage music, but it's definitely more in the understated realm, I guess, in terms of trap music. So, but it's very good. Incredible vocals. We cannot expect anything different from GOT7 because they are so talented when it comes to vocals and dances and everything. But yeah, just the song is just really, really good. My only criticism is that the song is too short. I could have used maybe an extra chorus, I guess. I don't know. A bit longer. I need people to stop doing stop making ringtone music. I want a song to be at least 3 minutes. At least that, or at least as close to 3 minutes as we can. So that's my only criticism, but Beat is good. The lyrics are okay, I guess. They're not really like, super profound, or they're a bit cringy at times, I guess. But I don't care. The song slaps. Like, it's just really, really good. So that's one for sure. And I would say also, if you are inside into like, well, GOT7 is pretty much a very well established group already. I think all the members went to the military and all that stuff. They're like I would say third generation group. Yeah, I would say so. Um, and yeah, like they did their thing with this song. The video is also very, very cool. So go watch it. I mean, it has to be watched. Like the music video is just so good. Period. Then what other song do I want to put in? I want to put in Body Favors by Jay Stephens. This song is very sexy, very sultry, very like danceable, I would say. It's almost, it's not really housey. I think it's more like hyperpop adjacent, maybe, I guess, or but it's more danceable, I guess, as well. Very cool. Never heard of Jay Stephens before, but this song really, really good. If you're in the mood for something like, a bit more danceable, a bit more intriguing, I guess, this can be your song. This can be your song, 100%. Really good. Um, then, then I want to talk about. I do want to talk about "Feel Me" and by Craig David. I just like literally today started a a playlist on, basically it's like a garage style music playlist, basically, right? So, and if you made, well, maybe I don't know if garage music is officially like a genre that was born in the UK, but UK garage music was very hot stuff, especially in the early 2000s. That was the main vibe and sound, and I think it is very British in that sense. Like, it's very European adjacent, but mostly like UK garage music is like, that's it, and that's the style of music that was then repopularized, I guess, recently by, well, first off, Pink Panthers, who is British, so cool, but also K-pop. Like, that's how beautiful it is about K-pop, is that it takes so many different influences from music at large. So, New Jeans, for example, infamously, I guess, now had repopularized this genre in K-pop, for example, right? And I would say largely in popular culture, but I would still venture to say that Pink Panthers was the one who brought it back up, and New Jeans also managed to like aid with their own, Korean K-pop sound in that sense. So, but yes, so I really wanted to like make a bit of a garage playlist, also because I'm like not really familiar with the early garage music, and so "Feel Me In" by Craig David is one of the most, I guess, iconic pieces from the early 2000s of garage music, and it's still, I would like to say that it still holds to this day as one of the best garage songs ever made. So yeah, and if you don't know what I'm talking about, think of "The Boy's a Liar," or I don't know, like "Super Shy" by New Jeans, as I said. So that's the type of sound you can imagine. But this song is so good. Like, that's literally the the garage song. Like, so fucking good. I literally fell in love with it. So yeah, like, honestly, fucking incredible. And I guess like that's where I don't want to add any more, to be fair, because I want to get into more of the movie. But three songs are actually not too bad. I mean, this month is going to be a bit shorter than usual because it's 28 days, but I'm sure I'm going to be able to get many more songs, because this month is going to be pretty big. Like, we're going to have what, the Doja Cat, Ray, and Lisa collaboration, and then Jisoo's new album coming out, and then I'm sure there's going to be, well, actually, I'm not sure if Lady Gaga is going to put out a single yet, but people have been saying that she's going to announce a single at the Grammys or something tonight. So this one is going to be like packed when it comes to music. Tate McRae's new album is coming out this month, I believe. So yeah, better strap on and go, you know. But again, yeah. Also, quick mention. Basically, the Grammys are happening, as I said, tonight. So expect. Well, don't. Well, yeah, maybe expect an emergency episode coming out either tomorrow or Tuesday or something, because I need to cover that 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 event, because it is major. They're gonna happen literally tonight, so I cannot stay up, unfortunately, and like cover them, because here is gonna be what like midnight or even beyond that, probably like 1 a.m. or 2 a.m. or something. So yeah, I cannot cover that specifically, but stay tuned. I may or may not do something. I'm not 100% sure if I have time for that, but I really want to cover them eventually. So it's either going to be that or something else, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. Yeah. Okay, so let's get to the movie. Let's get to Emilia Pérez. So I said, like, I did watch the movie in the end, and I am, I guess, ready for some, like, you know, for some deep analysis of this movie. And I want to preface this by saying that I love musicals, and I am a fan, of course, of, like, you know, musical performances and all that stuff. And I do enjoy a musical that has some substance to it, like a message, a very like interesting message, and that is a bit more daring. I think that musicals are supposed to be also campy, and they are supposed to be on the nose and a bit more daring than average movies in that sense, because you have to, like, you know, at the end of the day, you're going to have to like make a movie that goes in between acting and singing, like in the same frame or something, right? Like in the span of like 5 minutes. So it is not going to be like a, you know, it's already going to be like by its pure nature something that's going to be on the nose anyway. So it needs to be something a bit more daring and a bit more interesting, right? And I can say from a certain angle, I guess this movie is that, and I can understand why the critics are loving it in terms of like the daring quality of it and all that stuff, and the ideas behind this movie, like generally plot wise, I guess. But I think what's really throwing the movie off the rails in that sense and really dragging it down is the absolute tone deaf, I would say, nature of the entire production and the entire message of the movie itself. Like, the message gets lost eventually, even though like maybe the idea itself is good. I think the execution and the way this movie was thought out is really what's the problem with it, and how it really mistreats the subject matter, I guess, and specifically Mexican culture and transgender identities, and I guess just in general Latin American day-to-day crimes and like very important crimes that happen in Latin America, because this movie does basically rotate and like center itself around this ex narcos kingpin who goes through a gender affirmation surgery to sort of, I guess, how to say, like, I guess to sort of try and restart her life and to try and, I guess, forget about her previous, you know, criminal life in that sense. And so that's the entire, purpose of the movie, I guess, is to, like, you know, show it's like a redemption arc movie for allegedly this kingpin, right? Now, there are several problems already with this preface, I guess, because like a movie so much centered into like this actual, well, I mean, it is fiction, the movie itself, but it is very much rooted in reality and like on very serious topics that are currently happening in Mexico and many other Latin American countries, of course. So I think it's a very delicate subject, and if you do not have the perspective of the people involved in these day-to-day occurrences, I guess, then you're not going to make a movie that is going to be nuanced enough. I think it's going to come off as very tone deaf, which is what indeed happened with this movie. Like, the entire movie is produced by a French producer, a French director, and it's also made up, the actresses, I guess, the main actresses are all, I guess, American actresses per se, most of it. And some of them are perfectly able to speak Spanish, but they have no link whatsoever to Mexico at all. You could argue Selena Gomez has Mexican roots, but she's never, like, her performance itself is not really, it's been criticized a lot because her accent is not really authentic, and she doesn't really have that real, Mexican national, I guess, experience. So she cannot bring much to the table as well. There's only, I think, one actress who is just, it's not even like a main character in the movie, who is actually Mexican, but majority of the cast, basically all of the cast, is non-Mexican, and that sort of already starts, I guess, in a way, affecting the message of the movie itself. But also, I think what's really damaging here, rather than simply just the people on the screen, is just mostly also the people behind the screen who are producing the movie, and who have clearly, especially I'm relying on the Mexican reviews, like on the Mexican national viewers, I guess, that went to watch the movie and provided the reviews. The I guess the outcome is that it seems basically that this director did not have, like, did not go into deep research when making this movie. Like, it comes off as very culturally insensitive, and not simply culturally, I guess, but also, when it comes to, like, also the LGBTQ community. I think I've also seen some reviews very much criticizing and not really claiming and owning this movie, because it is very reductive and very stereotypically charged, I guess, in both camps, both the cultural aspect and the sexual identity camp. They're both, I guess, and that's the weird thing, I guess, also about the movie, is that it's, I think what's even more enraging for the viewers is that the critics, who are, mostly privileged people, or like people who live far away from these realities, I guess, and like most of the reviews who have been done by people who do not know anything about Mexico or LGBTQ lives, have been praising this movie for being daring and for being whatever and all that stuff, right? And I can see that in the conception of the movie itself, and not necessarily in the execution, maybe, but that's why I think it's really enraging the people, is because, like, they are, portraying this to be like the best movie ever made, and having, getting many nominations in different award ceremonies and all that stuff. But the crux of the matter is that the people who are actually supposed to be the center and the main audience for this movie are not rallying behind it. They're, like, actually going against it and expressing their deep discontent, and they're making fun of the movie, poking fun, and just, basically bringing the movie down. So I think there's a real problem here, and I think, of course, now the major issue at hand is also that the movie does not has many other things that are not really helping its case. Apart from the execution itself, as I said in my previous episode as well, the movie was severely criticized for the usage of AI for aiding, I guess, for, like, altering the performance of the main actress in this movie, for basically making it reach certain notes that she couldn't reach and all that stuff. So that's already one big criticism that started bringing the movie down. And then several tweets of the main actress started coming out as well, and it's basically, pretty clear that this movie now is losing all its chances to win any major awards. Hopefully, who knows, if the Oscars praise this movie and, like, give this movie some of the awards they were nominated for, then it would be very, 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 very disgusting. But we'll see. So what am I talking about? I'm talking about specifically well, I cannot specifically say what these tweets are about. I cannot read the tweets out loud, because they're very, very controversial and very damaging, and I think they could also make this episode go down, maybe, potentially. I don't know. I've seen people, like, avoiding specifically reading them out because they are very extreme. But just know that the main actress, whose name is Karla Sofía Gascón. I'm not really sure, but who's also a transgender, basically, actress. The first, I think, ever transgender actress who's also been nominated in major categories at the Oscars and at the other awards. So this actress has tweeted in the past, what, 4 to 10 years. She's been tweeting about very extreme things and in a very, you know, xenophobic and racist way, about several, whatever you could think of, she's tweeted about in a very weird and insulting way. It's crazy. I'm talking about anti-Muslim, Chinese, racist of any sort. If you like, for example, when the whole situation about George Floyd was happening, she also tweeted about that in a very disparaging matter, in a very disparaging way, and it's just like crazy to think that this person has been able to like get cast in a movie of this, I guess, proportion, and people have not done their due diligence in like backtracking and seeing what's her digital footprint or whatever. But the people do what they do best. They dig and they find and they bring it to the light. And the amount of tweets that have been brought back to dug up, I guess, have been definitely affecting for the worst, I guess, this movie's public perception even more. So if the reception wasn't already terrible enough, I think now people are just like sick and tired of this movie, and they're just hoping that the critics start opening their eyes and start taking a stance against this movie. Now that's also one thing, but also the other thing I think is also the director, who also said very weird things about Spanish speaking countries and like how Spanish is the language of the poor and all that stuff, of the immigrants and all that. And I don't know, like the context also didn't make any sense, because why would you even go to say that? I understand you're making a movie about Mexico and like all that, but also the movie is not specifically about immigrants or like poor people per se, I guess. I mean, there are instances in the movie where you see those things, but the main purpose of the movie is to talk about this, kingpin, this like narcos, overlord who, like that's also the problem. I think Mexican people have been very much, and rightfully so, mad about the fact that the whole plot of the movie is to try and spin this figure around and like try to like empathize with an overlord. And on a daily basis, these people are actually terrible people, of course, and they are the major proponents for drug violence and other criminal acts that are not, of course, tolerable whatsoever. So again, as I said before as well, if you really want to go this route, you should do your due diligence and like research this topic and try to be as nuanced as possible and also I think that's also why it's even more important to cast people who actually have at least gone through, like, I've heard of these experiences that are part of this environment, or like at least I've lived in Mexico for a long period of time to know what we're talking about here. You know what I mean? So, and that has not happened. So it does come off as a very disingenuous type of movie. So I am so sorry, but yeah, this is just unfortunately the way sometimes Hollywood works. Like they try to shove down people's throat quote unquote representation, even though it's not necessarily that in this case either. But it's just like they try to be woke as much as they can, but it just comes off as disingenuous and very tacky, to be fair. And I'm also very surprised that they let this movie go so far. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, again, my opinion of the movie is that the movie is okay, I guess. It's campy, so I can see why it could gain traction in some instances. But again, context is key. Like people who are supposed to respond to this movie are not responding to this movie for a reason, and they have a major say on why the movie is not supposed to be acclaimed. And I trust them, of course, because they know best and they know better definitely than all these critics and also myself. So I cannot close like my eyes and say, oh, this movie's great, and I don't care that it doesn't respect the people it's supposed to like, take care of, like, and represent properly. So I don't really I cannot say that, like, in a good conscience. I cannot like close my eyes and say, oh, this movie was great, because it's not it's really damaging, and it's really, dangerous to have this movie reach these peaks, I guess, in popular culture. I mean, or at least in these award seasons. The accolades are not deserved. But again, not to be that guy, but this movie going down only means better things for my favorite movies of the year. So The Substance, I'm hoping your girl is gonna take home so many awards now. Or Wicked as well. I want to celebrate Wicked for being, at least as far as we know, a very classical musical in that sense, with great production, and I guess in a way also with people who have experience in the field and can sing live as well. Just saying. But yeah, so so I don't want to go too much into the plot of the movie itself, but just know that basically it's about this lawyer who is employed for a huge sum of money by this overlord, for to basically play the devil's advocate. And after this whole thing, after they win the case and whatever, the same lawyer is basically tasked to help this overlord go through this like gender affirming surgery, and then sort out basically her relationship with her wife and all that stuff and her kids, and I guess basically just try and portray this like redeeming story as best as they can in a way. But it really didn't go down well. But anyways, I did read some very interesting reviews, and one of the best ones I've seen is the one by Latina Media Co or something. I think it's a journal that specifically is made by Latin American people and reviews many different things about culture and news and all that stuff. And this article was written specifically by Sas Heredia, I think. She is a Mexican Jewish writer and a personal stylist as well. But she did write this very persuasive article, and I urge you to go and read it, because it does give you a lot of perspective on why Mexican people are not vibing with this movie at all. The article is called "Take It From a Mexican, Emilia Pérez is Trash." So, period, break it down. But I think one of the main points that she makes, because I really wanted to like understand also what's the reaction there, is that, well, first off, the language used, since the movie's like mostly in Spanish, doesn't actually reflect real Mexican Spanish in that sense. It's mostly like a whitewashed, basically, Spanish, or like a very simplistic Spanish, I guess, or stereotypical Spanish. They use phrases that are not actually ever used in Mexico or in Mexican Spanish in that sense. So that's one big problem. And then they use stuff in the movie that is like actually not proper, I guess, in that sense. Or like they I guess use ideas and concepts and settings that are not actually authentic at all. Like, for example, she was talking about how the attorney, when she shows her graduation, I guess, pictures and everything else, they use pictures that are very much American style pictures, like of how graduations go there. And or they were talking about like the whole like trials scene in the movie, how it's like very much a theatrical portrayal of it, which is very much akin to what happens in the US, but not at all what happens in Mexico. It's like a very behind closed doors type of situation. So whatever, to see there's another standpoint there that is not really authentic. And then there's more stuff, of course, about how this drug overlord basically is just being I guess, I don't know, so portrayed as the savior for society, despite his like and how people are quick to forgive this person for all the crimes that they've committed and all that stuff. And yeah, so there's more stuff. I don't know, for example, I think other problems are the like, I don't know, very cliche, Virgin Mary imagery in the movie, or I don't know, like uh, how they talk about Mexico City, which is not really grounded in reality. Like, I don't know, I think at a certain point in the movie, I think Emilia Perez was portrayed by Karla Sofía Gascón, um, says that it's difficult for her to like move around in Mexico City from from like Las Lomas and Polanco, because according to her they're too far, when in fact in reality they're actually not that far or whatever. It's just like weird stuff like that it doesn't make any sense, because there has been no input whatsoever by Mexican people at all. And I think what's even worse, I think she brings to the light, is that, for example, casting director for this movie, Carla Houle, she stated that she didn't pick Mexican actors for the movie because their talent wasn't adequate, quote unquote, adequate enough, which is very weird to say, because there are so many. I'm sure you can find definitely a very, very talented Mexican actor or actress, or any major actresses who want to portray this role. I mean, I think she also makes a great example of Coco Maxima, who's also very famous for being the first trans actress, and in the Disney production, and she is Mexican as well. So, and she auditioned for the role but was not cast. So, like a lot of stuff that was not really, really, really appreciated. I mean, also, she brought to light the fact that the main actress, Karla Sofía Gascón, also called those who criticized her performance as gatos, which is a very, as she says, like a very insulting and classist slur here in Mexico. So, yeah, like she literally went for the throat, and I really appreciate her for that, because I needed to have more information on this part of the topic, and I mean, no wonder people are not at all happy with this movie whatsoever. And I think also from the LGBTQ side, I think people are very, very, very upset about how the whole idea of of transitioning is used in the movie as a way of just portraying that, like, someone changing lives and all that stuff. And I think the identity itself is just like a topic that isn't really explored, and it's like it literally is made from a white straight man, French man. So there's nothing from this man that can literally aid this movie whatsoever. Like, it's so far removed from the actual topics that it's just baffling us at this point. Like, I literally would not. Actually, I would recommend watching this and forming your own opinion, but also would beg you to like go and read these articles to see how people actually are, apart from of these groups, react to this. Like, it's just not good. So yeah, I'm not really surprised that the movie now is tanking, because frankly, it's just a big mistake that should have not happened whatsoever. But again, as I said before, these are things that, like, the season, I guess this award season, has been very entertaining, because like there's a lot going on, and it's probably one of the first few times where it's very impossible, I guess, to it's pretty much impossible to like predict who is going to win, because things keep changing every single day, every single week. There's more, there's a crossfire between the different publicists and all that stuff, trying to bring the next movie down. So who knows what will happen. But I am seated personally. I am very much seated, and I'm ready to listen to whatever is going to come my way. And I guess we shall see. I mean, the Oscars are still very much far away, like they're a month away or something, I think. But there are also other award shows coming up soon. I think the BAFTA awards are also soon, I assume. And so I really want to see what's going to happen there. So yeah. But anyways, that's all for today's episode. Do keep yourself entertained also with these things. Keep yourself in the loop. Read articles about these things. Don't, especially if you're not the targeted audience in that sense, or like at least the people who are portrayed in a movie, or like you're not part of these groups who are portrayed in a movie, then I would say it's your due diligence to go and inform yourselves on how things are really looking, or at least their opinion on the movie. Because you can, for example, enjoy the movie for what it is, but also it's very important to also always relate the movie to the context it's built in and produced in. And this is a prime example of, a movie being done in the worst way possible. So yeah, we'll see what happens. If it does win at these awards ceremonies and shows, it will be a very bad message sent to the audiences and in general to movie makers in that sense. But we shall see. I really hope not. I would say that I would say at least like I'm 80% sure that it's not gonna win anymore anything, or like at least very few awards. But I could be wrong. You never know. So yeah. Anyways, catch you guys next week, or maybe Monday or Tuesday or something. So the Grammys will be covered. Don't worry. Bye.